So we're here in Washington. Right now we are at Rex's house, but we actually came from the Lumio office here in Washington. Yes. I found out you own that building, right? And you're renting it out to Washington State?
Lumio is a tenant.
Lumio's a tenant.
And then we sublease part of it to Thurston County.
And this is your second home, right?
Yes.
So over here we have Julie. How you doing?
Good.
And what do you do over at Lumio, Julie?
I am the Senior Director of Operations.
That's a cool title. What do you do?
Yes, what do I do? So it is evolving as the merge continues, but ultimately I ensure that the installs happen. And so really working with all of the different departments and milestones after the point of sale, all the way through to PTO.
So is it evolving where you have less work or more work?
Both. It's more concentrated work and less variety of work.
I got you.
So instead of managing the directness of like the designs department, now I just work with them to get the output. But the more work comes into play because the volume is increasing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And Richard, what do you do over there at Lumio?
I'm one of the vice presidents of sales for the Pacific Northwest region, and just get the sales team to get the most out of themselves every day. Right
on. What are some of the stuff, what do you do on a day-to-day basis to get them motivated?
We have a lot of different calls and trainings that we'll do in the morning, and I'm big on just visiting my team and going out there into the field. And
you go into the field?
Of course I do. Knocking with the reps. I'm in the homes. I'm on the streets. That's just really the best way to kind of get the feel of my team and help them the best, because the things change every single day. But if you're at the front of it, you can kind of make the moves you need to.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And so when I first met you, I thought you just sat in the office. That's where I met you. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's way cool that you go out there leading from the front.
Yeah.
Cool. And how many reps do you have right now?
About 300 reps.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. And Rex, big man, what do you do here?
Right now, under Lumio, Senior Vice President of Sales. So Richard reports up to me, and I have another sales team, James and Austin, with the Solar Mafia in Houston. And so spending the majority of my time, of course, building sales and working on being able to spend more time in my critical work of sales, recruiting, training, developing leaders. With the merge, there's still a lot of time spent on, winding down Smart Energy today. That process of transferring licenses and financials and so on and so forth. And so I'm still very busy with that, but it's finally now, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
So you mentioned Smart Energy Today, right? That's the name of your company. SET is the name of the company, But Smart Energy Today. And all three of you were there when it was Smart Energy Today.
Yes.
And how did you guys decide to merge with Lumio, or how did you guys feel about it? What are the processes you went through? Were you sad to give up the SET shirt and start wearing a Lumio shirt? How'd that feel?
There's a little bit of remorse, but just remorse might not be the right word. We're going to edit that part. But there's since we're going to edit this, what is that word? Survivor's guilt.
So actually, instead of editing, if you just keep going, it actually looks really good.
No, I think
so. You guys actually cut off and join in and do all that stuff.
Got it. But please, we're gonna edit that.
Yeah,
it's a transition period.
A loss.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a loss. I started Smart Energy actually literally with Julie and basically with Richard, who joined us, not long after. And so we've been at this for 10 full years. Julie was actually one of my very first sales reps.
You were building SET for 10 full years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, a decade ago, this company actually started, a mile up the street from where our office is at today, out of my home, literally in this living room, just like this. We did our first sales training in energy efficiency. It was a 4-day crash course into the products we were going to go sell in a direct mail, dinner seminar model. And so Julie was there from day one.
Dinner seminar model.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
It's just memory lane. It's so funny because I remember exactly where I was when Rex called me and was like, hey, because I didn't have a job at the time. So he was like, hey, don't get a job. I'm going to start a home improvement company. And I was like, cool, sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, at the time I was 25. So you're 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, don't get a job yet. Hang in there for about 5-6 weeks. I just incorporated, and I'll have something for you in about a month or so, and that's how it all began.
And you said you two have been best friends for how long?
We've worked together for almost 14 years now. Long time. It's been quite a while. And I was after that living room training. I was probably there 3 to 6 months later with the dinner seminars, and we did that for a long time. It was a great model, and we always said that was the perfect model unless every restaurant in the country shut down at the same time. And
you called that?
Well, yeah, we always said that. You experienced that.
You're not supposed to, when a good thing's happening, you're not supposed to say it. Otherwise, it's bad. Did you knock on wood? What happened?
I don't know.
You screwed up. COVID is your fault.
We were at a great run rate. We started out small with really, just easy products to install, right? Your radiant barrier, insulation attic fans, easy things to get installed, $3,000 to $5,000 packages. Did that for a couple of years through a dinner seminar model, launched and opened up many states, and then eventually added solar in our roofing division and continued to expand. Made the Inc. 500 list 6 years in a row, and we're doing great. And you always try to de-risk your company, and so you're looking for what are the things that could swipe us out, and we feel like we had most of that dialed in. But what we didn't have dialed in is every restaurant in the United States shutting down overnight, and so we didn't plan for that one.
So, yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, because you opened up and you said that the last 3 years you had to start over 3 separate times, and you went from 50 million to zero. What? Tell us all about that. And you guys were involved in this too.
They were along for most of the process in different ways, but when we started when Set was started with my wife and I, Yumi. Shortly after, Jonathan Gibbs became our business partner, and we invited him in because we knew that we didn't want to stay small. We knew we didn't want to be a small mom and pop company. And I was 25 at the time, and I wanted to have, and we wanted to just expand really quickly, and continue to do that.
Well, just like elaborate on you guys transitioning for those 3 years. Like, what happened in those 3 years?
Yep. So off to the races we went. Made a bunch of awards, made a bunch of money, expanded to many markets.
What do you mean awards? You made a bunch of awards?
Well, we made the Inc. 500, 5,000 list 6 years in a row. We were featured in Forbes twice. And in 2014, we were the 8th fastest growing company in Washington State. And so things like that. It's a lot of accolades, recognitions. We were really, doing really well.
And you guys were there for all that?
Yeah.
Cool.
We knew that, at some point, we actually, as the owner, was not paying myself very much. So the company was doing very well, but we were investing every single dollar back into the company because we wanted to keep growing, keep scaling. And so we went down the road of a transaction 3 years ago with private equity. We got multiple offers for our company between $25 and $40 million. We went with a company that was, $38.5 million, and that was a good fit. 15 days before the deal closed, it all fell apart. And so 15 days before you get get some chips off the table and really get kind of life-changing income, it disappears. So you pick yourself up off the ground. We were cleaning our company up and getting ready to go back to market in April of 2020. And we were communicating with our business broker, and we were going to go back to market to then get another deal done. And then COVID happened, completely wipes us out, shuts us down. And so that took away our first business model of basically at that point 8 years, which was our dinner seminar model.
And then, Richard, where did you come? Were you part of the second? That was number one.
That was number one. So then number two was, so everything shut down. There's no dinners. So we spun up a dealership model, sales support model, where we provided sales support, commissions to sales dealers all over the country and connected them with EPCs.
Oh, to like sales orgs.
Exactly. And that created cash flow to allow us to hire our employees back, because we laid off 150 employees. Which every single person.
Who did that?
I did.
All 150?
Yeah.
You guys let him take that on by himself? You were there in the beginning and you let him take the words?
It didn't quite evolve like that, where there wasn't, the ability. But actually what blessed me the most, that really just actually drove me to, really just tears a few different times. And, my wife, Yumi, and John at the time as well, is actually how many people volunteered to just work for free after that. Wow. They said, we want something to come back to. We understand this COVID thing is real. This is intense. What can I do? How can I start working from home? And I'll just volunteer my time. And that was, a special moment that, I'll just never forget. And so for 2021, we built out a successful dealership model while then beginning to, create what has now become Lumio. And on the other side of Lumio, we did not actually transfer our dealership model into Lumio. We're building in-house sales reps, in-house installers, all full stack. And so Richard and I are rebuilding our sales teams in market in a way that, we didn't, not a lot transferred from last year essentially. And so that's kind of the third rebuild of really rebuilding, $100+ million company 3 years in a row, 3 different times. So we've been grinding away, but this will be the last time, right?
Darn right.
So you guys all three grinded through those 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little bit more removed. So my tenure with Smart Energy was on the sales side. And so I managed all of the dinners and did all of the direct mail. And so I was one of the first employees to recognize that with everything closing down for COVID, I was like, oh, I don't have a job. Oh. And so I remember having a conversation with Jonathan. That's who I reported to. And I was like, I just recused myself. I was like, this is obviously,
that was my forte. Now it's not there. And so
right, exactly. And so, and throughout the tenure of Smart Energy, I'd done a lot of different positions, starting with sales, but the last probably 4 years specifically, that was really my niche, was in the direct mail marketing and all of the lead acquisition. And so at that point we had a conversation and I was like, yeah, I'm here. If it comes back, that's great, but there's no hard feelings. And then just went off to do something else for a few months. But I saw Rex actually post on Facebook that they were looking for a commissions processor. And so I messaged him and I was like, is this something I could do remote or as like a 1099? And so both Rex and Yumi were like, yes. And so then I came back about 6 months after I had left and did the commissions for a year. And through that time, then
so now you have multiple skill sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to brag on Julie just a little bit and tell my version of her tenure here. So, at 22 years old, doesn't get a job because I'm 25 and I say, I got something for you in 6 weeks. Not totally sure what it is. Comes in as a sales rep. So she did dinner presentations. She got in attics, got in crawl spaces, made sales, traveled all over Washington, Oregon, Idaho. And it was very successful at that point. It had ran its course. She wanted to come into the office. She said, can I work and be the office admin or have an office position? I said, fine, sounds great. Although you're very successful at sales, but makes sense. And so she worked in her office and held multiple different positions in her office, everything from, customer service to commissions and finance to eventually becoming the office manager, and worked her way up through there to eventually being, the senior director of sales and marketing for the company. And so she moved on to start her own company that's very successful in its own right and is still ongoing. So I spent the last 6 months recruiting Julie back. I said, Julie, this Lumio thing is happening. It's real.
It wasn't just a post?
Yeah.
You spent 6 months recruiting her back?
Well, she did reply to the commissions post, but then I said, please come back. Here's the opportunity inside of Lumio, what's happening. I don't want you to miss out on it. And that took 6 months for her to say, okay. And it's been absolutely just crushing it.
So you knew what Lumio was going to be. You knew that, shares were going to be coming out and okay.
Exactly.
And you wanted her part of it because she was there from the beginning.
I did.
Right? And Richard got nothing.
I'm here today.
No, Richard, we actually just had a meeting here at Rex's second home, is it?
Well, it was my first home. Yeah, so my 10-year-old daughter says, is the washing house, is that just our extra house? And I'm like, okay, Aria, we can't you don't say it like that. That will sound very bad. It's not our extra house, but yes, I grew up here. So this is home to me. I actually, as a little kid, grew up a mile down the street. Our whole life was in like a 10-mile radius of this location. And so lived here for 7 years. And the opportunity in creating and being a part of what has now become Lumio made sense for us to relocate to Lehi, Utah, where our HQ office is at. So relocated there. We still have operations here. And so, yes, this is my second house.
So do you two Richard, do you ever go to Utah?
Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah?
I'm in Utah a couple times a year.
And your extra house is there too? No.
No extra houses.
But you do go to Utah occasionally.
Yeah.
Right? What do you do when you go to Utah?
Meet with a lot of folks at Lumio, Greg and Sean. We've had a lot of meetings with them and different department heads to kind of just help the sales reps understand the transitions more and get it more streamlined and get it in quicker to implement into the sales process.
Oh, so you're very much involved on the corporate side and kind of liaison between sales and
just kind of put them in front of the right people that can teach them the right things. And Rex and Julie have been great at that as well. So just getting them to get this the quickest possible.
And I noticed that, so the meeting we had here is actually, it's not, I would say it's maybe not a black mark on the industry, or it can be depending on the company, but it's all these tariffs are holding up all of the solar panels and the manufacturers, and there's not enough product that's going to go around. Yeah. Lumio's positioned themselves to have a majority of these panels, or at least be set for a while, right?
Set for life.
But there's something that the industry is doing. They're raising the red lines on everyone. It's not just Lumio. It's the entire country is doing that, right? And Richard, you just kind of led the front on kind of handling this meeting and making sure that the emotions were in check. How come that was you mostly doing that instead of Julie or someone else at the company?
I think I work most closely with the sales guys and girls, so I have a relationship with them that they might take it better from me, possibly, than some other folks. But any of us could have just delivered the news. And what's great about our team is Julie works with the sales reps, and Rex works with everybody. So, and I work with some of the ops people too. So we're kind of all a big team here. So I think any of us could have given the message. Just I am probably the most closely related to them, so they liked hearing it from me, and they took it well.
That's good.
It's really simple. If what you're saying isn't being received, then you're not communicating. You're just making noise. And so it's about working, who is the best person to enroll the team in kind of a tough conversation, which is, hey, red lines are going up and it's all real. We all see it. We all sense it. And it's not just solar, right? And the inflation in every category, all the supply chain logistics across the globe, right? But this is now the first time where it's the most directly affected our sales organization and our company as a whole. And so, you got to, have that transparency and speak to your leadership to what's going on in a way that can be received, in a way that enrolls them in the process of having to now go tell their teams. And so that's how you stay one, you stay, a unit, and that trust, stays in place. So
in this meeting, I saw something that I have not seen, I don't think ever, towards the end of this meeting about a rate increase, a red line increase, which essentially translates to less commission for the salespeople, for the managers. Managers won't be able to recruit as easily because they can't promise as much commission. I mean, it affects everybody, right?
Yep.
And what I saw in this meeting was that every leader that you had in here, and how many people were in here? Like 20 people? 25 people?
20, yeah.
Every single one of them just looked you dead in the face and said, I've got your back. I'm going to be here for you. I trust you. You've never led me wrong. They had no problem with this rate increase or decrease in pay. They had no problem with this. And that just blew my mind. Everyone was bought into it. The entire country is talking about how do we roll this out to our sales reps or hide it or put it in, dealer fee. How do we hide it somewhere where we can keep our sales force happy? You took a different approach. You just went head on.
Yeah.
And they respected you for it and they bought into it and they just were so loyal, right?
Yeah, I think one of the things that Rex and Richard have always done well in leading from sales and just as a company is, and I heard you say it today at the training, that the truth is good enough.
I did hear that.
And that is what we have done. We don't always get it right. We make mistakes, but we have high integrity. And so we normally just say it the way it is because we want to be truthful and be honest. And I think that it's a big testament to Richard as well, because really he delivered the news and we were here to back Richard, but this is the team that Richard leads. Yep. Because these are the sales reps that roll up directly to him. So he has the relationship with them. And that was really prevalent here. And then the backing from Rex as well. And so that was received. But there's a trust that has been earned and it didn't happen overnight, but it also is. It's cool that you picked up on that.
Oh, absolutely. That was crazy what I saw. So what did you guys do? What are these seeds that you planted? And I'm not saying that you did it on purpose, but what are all these different things? Why are they so bought into you guys? Like, what is the magic to that?
Because Rex and I have gone and knocked doors with the team. They've seen us. Great story. Went out knocking doors in California with a California Blitz a month ago. And we knocked for probably an hour or so. We set 5 appointments. 2 of them ended up closing. We raffled the commission off to the team. They loved it. Yep. And just they know that we are there with them, for them, or by their side. We're going to learn with them and grow with them. And if you grow with somebody, they'll do anything for you.
That's true. So how difficult is it to sell here in the Northwest?
It's not difficult at all.
Easy. Julie, she's very serious about this being the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yes, I am.
Why is that? Tell us.
Okay, because so since we've been merging with Lumio, I have noticed that even Rex, he likes the Northwest, and so everything's been talked about as the Northwest. And I am always including the P on there, the Pacific Northwest, because geographically there's a huge difference on the map between just the Northwest and the Pacific Northwest. And so I came back for the opportunity of Lumio, thank you. And so I'm like, do not pigeonhole us to just the Northwest.
Hey, if someone's going to pay that much attention to detail, I would want them working on my commission.
Yeah,
right?
We got it.
No, but you guys, how do you feel about selling in the Pacific Northwest, where utility rates are really not as high as other parts of the country, right?
Yeah, it's awful. Nobody should ever come here and try to sell. It's always overcast.
Stay out.
It's awful.
Super high red lines now.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Doesn't work.
Good point, Jake.
No competition.
Been at this a long time. It's a different demographic. The value proposition is different, and the buyers are different as well. In California, Texas, other Arizona, right? It's more about just the ROI compared to your bill, and you cash flow on day one. But that's really not our buying demographic here. Our Governor Inslee was running for president, didn't make it very far, but his whole initiative was on climate change, and Washingtonians have really embraced that, where they want to be responsible in that area. And so it's about reducing their carbon footprint. What can they do? What can they individually do? Taking responsibility for that. And so that is the demographic of Washington State. And so solar speaks to that as well. Of just if you'd rather have clean power or dirty power, what's the option, right? Clean power. And in Washington, people are willing to spend a little bit more for clean power versus dirty power as part of just doing what they can to address the climate change issues in our country.
That's pretty cool. So you just got a SPAN electrical panel in your house, right?
SPAN smart panel. Yep.
And you were the guinea pig.
I was.
How did that go?
Not. I am glad I was the guinea pig. I'm glad that is not going to be our first customer's experience, because I was the first customer. But overall, great. Everyone will do a little better on the next install.
Well, that's kind of the job of leadership, right? You guys kind of take all the bullets and take the falls to train the teams and get everyone up to speed on everything, right? You want to make sure that you deliver a good product and that you have a good reputation, which from what I understand, you guys do out here. Yeah. How big are you out here compared to your competition?
Now there isn't really a close second place. We're really running away with it now. Richard has done a phenomenal job building out. We have 8 local offices throughout Washington State and another 6 or so throughout Oregon. And we're launching Idaho very shortly. We also have operations in Northern California that roll up to us. And so that's all going great. We're building in a way that's scalable and consistent. And now just with the brand of Lumio, the power of Lumio, being able to get the panels, even though now they might be more expensive, but we actually can get them. And then just, operational expertise like Julie and her team to be able to get the installs in. We've been saying it set for years that, speed is the currency of solar. And, it's a run to the roof mentality. You don't want to take shortcuts to get there, but we all know you make a sale and you want to get that system installed as fast as possible to deliver the best customer experience, and you want to get your sales reps paid. And that's how that, snowball just keeps rolling. And so between these two, it's been, phenomenal. So there's nobody really that's competing with us. And we don't look at it that way anyway. Solar is in Washington, less than a 1% saturation. So who cares what the next guy is doing? Good for you. Like, look at all the roofs that don't have solar, go focus on that. And who cares what the person to the right or to the left are doing?
Speaking of saturation, I heard something at Solarcon, which you were actually a big part of Solarcon. I really appreciate you guys putting everything forward to get your people there.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they loved it too.
They did. They got so much value out of it.
And this is actually more an testament to what your leadership, because you have people buying in. They're spending their own money to go to these things, but you have the masses going to do it, right?
Yeah.
You show a little bit of support. Like today, we were at your warehouse, and you had like over 100 salespeople in there, just ready and willing to learn.
Yep.
And all you did was get them a little pizza and some drinks. They were there because they were hungry to learn, and you guys created that atmosphere. What's your advice to anyone else that has sales teams to get them bought in to their education, where they're spending their own money doing that? How did you guys build that culture?
It's authentic communication and being transparent. And, being in business now for a decade and now 5 months with Lumio is, learning from the mistakes, where sometimes you feel like you don't want to maybe give out all the information because how it's going to be received or if it's going to blow back on you. And so, as CEO and as owner, some of those tough decisions I wasn't quite as transparent about, because I thought that might be the most effective way to still get the result I was looking for. And through that process, learned that, we're all adults here. We all have families. We all have responsibilities. We're here to make money, and we want to make money through a way that delivers value. And so the way that I lead my team is just through transparency of just shooting them straight. And over time, and that consistency is where the trust comes in. And so probably all of us could do more of that, but I see that really lacking in a lot of other sales organizations or just other companies where, like the joke is, right? It's like, here's the new comp plan, and now I'm going to sell you on why it's better somehow. And, everyone's got a funny story of stuff like that. It's like, but it's not better. No, trust me. If you do it this way and you sell, 50 more accounts a year, you'll make more. Like, but it's not better, And so just cutting that out and just shooting them straight. Here's what it is. Here's how we're going to make money. Here's why it's still a great opportunity. And that's gained me, a lot of, just loyalty,
credibility,
credibility. And so then it's mine to lose, right? You can lose it in one moment, you can lose it in one decision. And so I take that responsibility really personally and really, really to heart.
I heard someone speak. They said you gain trust in drips and you lose it in buckets. Snap of a finger, right?
Yeah, I was going to say one of the things that was really exciting when Rex recruited me back was he kind of painted a picture very briefly, but very directly, of wanting this time around with Lumio and with the Pacific Northwest. And I mean this time around because SET had to just make so many hard pivots and change their business model to survive. And so this time around, starting over essentially was that we were going to go hand in hand together, sales and ops, which isn't something that you usually see inside of solar or the construction industry.
Keep it very separate, right?
It's very separate, and it hurts, and it creates a division where it's like sales then versus ops. And so when Rex talked to me about that was super exciting. And he, Richard and I have a good relationship previous to this anyways, but it was really important to Rex that the three of us are all on the same team and that we're on the same page and that we're working together. And I think that that's a huge testament of why we've been able to go from 100 installs to, we'll be very close to 200 in April, and we're going to continue to
in a short amount of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And May
just
keeps on going up. And then even just a specific example is that we had a launch and we got it all cleared, which is very hard to expand new markets for Idaho. And Rex and I were talking, and I was like, it's going to hurt it's going to hurt ops if you take sales away from Washington and you move them to Idaho, because those aren't installs that I control. And I also have numbers that I'm accountable to. And so with that, and in talking to it, then we postponed that expansion so that way we can really preserve the Washington market, which also helps all of us here. But, it's been really fun working together.
And this, Jake, looking at the industry, like how many companies have really struggled or even gone out of business because you want to cast your net so wide. So you want to be able to say, we're in 15 states, we're in 18 states, right? It's like, right, but you lose money in half of them. And a lot of you don't necessarily always even know that you're losing money until it's too late. And so that's, even just doing the gut check for ourselves of, yes, we want to get into Idaho and we will, but we're going to do it thoughtfully when it makes sense and not do it at the expense of the markets we're also growing now, because, business is great, but it's got to be profitable. It's got to make sense. And so you want to do it in a profitable way.
Yeah. One of the business killers to an established business like you have is expanding too early, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even sometimes growing too quickly can really hurt the company if you're not maintaining that cash flow or have at least projected amounts on it. So I can understand holding off on that and being strategic about it. How do you feel about expanding to Idaho? Are you going to be part of that?
Oh, of course I am. Yeah. We're excited about it. Idaho is a wonderful market. It's much like Oregon and Washington. There's many states in the country, a few states in the country where it doesn't cash flow, like Rex was saying. The ROI is not very good for solar. They pay more for solar. So we've done that for years. We know how to sell that way, and Idaho is that way. So we're excited about Idaho. It's a market that's kind of untouched compared to some markets out there. And we've always done well in Idaho. We've done dinner seminars in different parts of Idaho for years, and it's always been one of our better territories. So I can't wait.
I have to ask you guys, why are you making this so hard? You guys are choosing markets where the utility rate is so damn low compared to the rest of the country.
It is our cross to bear, Jake, and we don't need to talk about it. Yeah, I actually, through this transaction and putting, and being a part of merging, Greg at one point asked me, he goes, why did you start a solar company in Washington? I said, because I was born there, and I didn't have a better answer, right? I was born here, we're from here, and that's the best answer I could come up with. And other people started their companies looking at the markets, and they relocated, right? I mean, Deca now, right? The central region, they're actually, Oscar is from Idaho, and he knew that obviously Texas was a much bigger opportunity for him personally, what he was doing, so he moved his family to Texas, and it's great. Yeah. And so we looked at doing some things like that over the 10-year of SET. Started this at 25, with my wife, and through that process we had 3 kids, and on and on and on. And so just relocating just wasn't something that we were willing to do. So we were like, you know what, there's a lot of pros here as well, and we're going to capitalize on those, and then the chips will kind of fall where they do.
That's pretty amazing. Speaking of your wife, you guys work with her pretty closely as well. She's a big part of Lumio and Set, right?
She is.
Yeah.
And she's currently in Utah right now.
Yes.
Right, at Lumio headquarters.
Yep.
And you guys were joking a little bit over here about some of the policies she has or some of the beliefs she has when handling things. Where was she? How big of an influence was she during this whole process? How closely do you guys work with her?
They would not be here without Yumi.
No way.
No?
No.
Not at all.
No. No.
She sees all the things that we don't see.
Yeah. And 100%. And Yumi is like the backbone that keeps everything in line, gets you the data. I was on a call last night with Rex and it's like, can you make that report for me?
Yeah.
and Yumi was like, yeah, I have a lot of stuff to do, but yeah, I'll get it done. And so no, she's crucial.
Yeah, she's been instrumental from day one. I mean, the sacrifice that she's made to make Set successful for a decade, is surpassed by nothing or nobody else. I mean, when we had our middle daughter Riley, she gave birth on a Friday, was back in the office on Monday because it was payroll, and she wanted to make sure our sales reps got paid. And just there's endless stories like that of her contribution. She, her official title, was COO with Set, and so all of internal operations and processes, systems, and software rolled up to her, financial, legal, and so on and so forth. And just it was phenomenal. Yeah, we would not be here without her. And then now, as it's transitioned to Lumio, she is senior vice president of strategic operations. And so there's a wide range of things that roll up to her now, but. Yeah, we would not be. Yumi's the best.
So I talked about this with some other people. I don't know if you guys heard this story, but we went to Dallas for a meeting in the AT&T Center, the big stadium there.
Yeah.
And everyone was kind of around chatting. There was a big conference table. Everyone was talking to each other and kind of arguing a little bit, but praising. And I don't know if I saw this, but Rex stood up in the middle of it. Yumi was on the other side of the room. Rex stood up and went over to Yumi and just hugged her and kissed her and just sat there for a moment and just laughed with her a little bit. While everybody else was talking business, we need to do this and that. Rex just went over and made a moment. And I was like, I saw it and I didn't know you were such a big softie, dude.
She keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
We met in high school, got married when we were 20. And so coming up on our 15-year anniversary here at the end of December. And, got 3 beautiful girls, 7 or 8, 9, 10. And yeah, we would never exist the way we are today without Yumi. And she kept us grounded. When Jonathan was involved for the last decade, she was the peacemaker, voice of reason between all of us. There were times that I wanted to quit and she kept us together. There were times that Jonathan wanted to quit. She was always just that unwavering, centerpiece for both of us that allowed us to, get this transaction and merger over the finish line, and now is doing just incredible things inside of Lumio at the corporate level.
That's great. I know a lot of people rely on her over at headquarters too.
Yeah.
Right? I see her chatting with people all the time, running in and out.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. So is there anything that has happened that is hilarious during this whole ordeal? Something that you can remember in the office where you guys are just dying laughing? Because this sounds like you guys went through a lot of troublesome times, right? What about the good times? What's something that kind of stands out to you? Have you guys ever gotten drunk at the office? I did see some booze over there. I've been
Yeah.
I remember.
Been contemplating.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
I don't remember.
It's really fun. We're kind of known over the last, over our 10 year at Set is that, on special occasions, we like to celebrate them and have a lot of fun. So we've done, office shots many different times for special occasions. And so, whether we hit one of the, the awards and recognition or someone's, birthday, then we would do office shots together. That was fun. And then it's just kind of become a thing over the years is that, I am a pretty Scotch connoisseur and really like, good Scotch. And so that's a fun thing to bring, Richard in and other sales reps or managers or just anyone at any level, but to, spend time with them in my office. And then we usually, share, a really good glass of Scotch together. And that's been kind of a thing.
That's a pretty cool bonding moment right there. Unifying a little bit, right? And you do it for special occasions. So it means something. Totally. It's not just a random, right?
Or on bad days, sad days, or 2:00 days, or Wednesdays and Fridays.
I mean, the bad days and sad days, that's good too. You do it for those?
We do, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that's
probably.
cool. You guys have a pretty good culture over there too. I like how you guys set up the desks for everyone. It's like it's sectioned off from the main walkway, and then they are all kind of working near each other. They can all turn and talk with each other and lean in and help each other out, right? Did you guys design it that way on purpose?
I did. You mean I did, and we were very intentional about it. For the years before we bought that building, which was maybe 4 years ago now, we were in multiple different locations and really kind of sardined in there. And we just knew, you know what, people to really have a place where, you know, our vision for work is that, you know, we wanted to create an environment where actually work was rejuvenating to people. And so because all of us have crazy stuff going on in our personal lives, and you hear the adage, right? Like, leave it at the door, you know, leave your ego at the door when you go to the gym, leave everything about your personal life out the door when you go to work, because nobody wants to hear about it, because right, we all have stuff. Right. And so I wanted to make sure to try to create a culture that was rejuvenating to people. And a big part of that was making sure that they had space to be able to be relaxed. And so our project manager desks are bigger than average. And so people can really settle in, they can focus, they can think, they can feel like they're not, you know, being overcrowded where they're just rushing to get out the door when, their shift ends. And so we could fit a lot more bodies in that building if we designed it differently. We intentionally did not, because we wanted people to be rejuvenated through the work that they're doing. And so that's how we did it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So Richard, for your job position, there's a lot of people across the country that cannot build a sales organization to that level, to the amount of people that you have. What's one big piece of advice that you can give someone that's trying to grow their sales team?
Grow at the right pace. It's very easy to get a bunch of people excited about solar or an opportunity or making money, but to actually make them money is a little harder. So it was a lesson to learn to get a group of people and just try to grow one. Take one person along with you, make them your one. And then next month you got two. You have him or her and you, right? And the next month you have four, and so on and so forth. So if you can grow at that pace, eventually it'll just snowball and it'll grow very exponentially, and you'll be happy.
And when's the right time to delegate leadership or management? Like what do you have set in place for that? Because you can't handle all of these people all on your own, right? So what's some advice for you to, like, when's a good time to hand the baton to someone else? Well,
for sure. We've had a lot of growth quickly with this last, I don't know, even 6 months or so. So I don't know. We're still figuring that part out.
Sounds like you got it dialed in. I mean, if it's snowballing and it's happening quickly,
you sense it. You know who's ready to step up, right? Who's asking for it, and we've been doing this a long time, and so it becomes clear who the leadership or who is ready for that leadership position, and then also as a good leader, or part of being a good leader, it's your responsibility to also not promote people too soon as well, even though it might hurt their.
Wow, that's a big one. What do you mean by that?
Well, if someone, we can make decisions too quickly because we need the help so bad that we might promote somebody that's really not ready for it, and then so the results aren't there, and it ends up ending badly. Also, people who, if that person won't be successful, you need to make sure you keep them in a role that they are fulfilled and they will be successful in. Over promoting and promoting too quickly can end badly for everyone, and it's your job to not make the convenient decision, but to make the right one for the health of the company and for the success and health of that individual. And that can be hard because when you're scrambling and you're working so fast and growing so fast, there is always a lot of patch jobs and band-aids that you're trying to do, and so it can be tough to not. It's like cheating on your diet, right? It's like you just got to say no to that pizza. Like you just you can't. But
I can't say no.
But we do a good job of really trying to promote from within and develop leaders, and so that's a big part of our culture.
So that's big. So promote within, because I know, and I've done this myself. I've built up a team to have a carrot to dangle in front of someone big that I wanted to come in and manage them.
Yep.
Is that a mistake?
No, it's situational based, is that you want the opportunity to promote from within, but also as a leader, you need to know is if your team is not qualified for the position that you need, then you need to go hire from outside and bring that person and make sure that they're a part of your culture. But hiring expertise is critically important to the success of any company. And I think people miss that part a lot as well.
Julie, you deal with the commission side of things, right?
Yeah, I deal more with the operational side now. And
now
so
do.
the solar pipeline. Mm-hmm.
So I do have a question about the commission stuff while you were handling it. One of the biggest, one of the hardest things to deal with is a sales rep that believes that they're deserved a certain amount of commission and they fight and they argue about it, you can lose sales reps over this. And if you are the person directly talking to them and responsible for that pay, they're going to come and argue with you the most, right? Clearly, you have not lost tons of sales reps. So what's your secret?
This is a good question. So I worked in sales, and I am so glad that I did, because I made a lot of money. I bought a BMW. I bought a lot of shoes. I took a lot of vacations. I spent all of my money. It was great and glorious between like the ages of like 19 to 22, I guess a little bit older, like 23, 24.
Yeah.
And then I just was like, you know what? I'm really not actually money motivated.
Oh.
and it was boring.
I bought all the things I wanted.
I did. I was like, sales is not for me. But it gave me a really good just experience and perspective into understanding what goes into a commission only job. And so I have a lot of respect for the sales reps, because one, I don't want to do their job. I'm fine to make less money and have less financial opportunity. But also I think that sales is really cool, because from my perspective, commission only sales is like the only authentic American dream that still exists, where you can come from nothing, you can know nothing, and you don't even have to have initially good people skills. But if you have a good work ethic and you're willing to learn, you can make exponentially more than any other profession. Yep. And so taking that inside of commissions, for me, it's always been about that. I'm just releasing their pay. And so there's an algorithm that tells me how much to pay, but I'm definitely looking for ways to communicate that this is how and what it should be. And then for people.
Oh, you're like fighting for more commission for them, or?
Yeah, and not in a way of like, oh, they should make more money, but also just in the integrity of making sure that what is supposed to be released is. Yeah. And then I have a little speech, which I won't go all the way into, because I wait for, but I've given it many times to almost every single person that works in a non-sales environment, because people find out how much salespeople make.
Oh, in a non-sales, yes, let's hear this.
And so this is where, like, as someone that's releasing commissions, which they're making decent wages, but $50,000 to $60,000 a year is not the same compared to what their opportunity is.
Right.
And so you can see a little bit of bitterness sometimes inside of that type of employee. And so people come to me and are like, why do reps make so much money? And I am like, oh, let me tell you why. And so,
I think the country wants everyone in charge of commissions to know what this little speech is. I think this speech is going to make you a hero.
Like, I take most of the water.
Do we have hands put
No, it's simple, but I take the time to really, one, present that if anybody inside of Lumio wants to go into sales, they can, but they have to pick. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And so first I lay it that, like, if you would like the opportunity to go into sales, then you can have that and you should take it. But then secondly, I just set the stage of the American dream personally, because it's something that I do believe in and I see the value in that. And so then I can enroll people into understanding that it's an opportunity that exists, but it comes at a great cost and there's a gamble. I mean, people come to work and they don't get paid for 30, 60 days because you have to wait until the commission's clear. Mm-hmm. And so I talk about that. And then ultimately, I also talk about that things are price protected. So it's not just like sales reps can sell at the highest that they want to. But I really believe in giving people choices. And so ultimately, I leave it up to them of like, if you want to pursue this type of income, it does exist for you as well. Wow. And I think it's really empowering. And so then people feel that they can take ownership of, if I'm going to stay here in this position making this wage, then that's my choice. It's not that
they're choosing
sales doesn't actually
it.
Not. And we have had people who have left the office. Yep. Yep. So we have some right now that are recent that I think are doing well because we've had the conversations or we've talked about it. And I'm like, no, sales is open to everybody.
It's an authentic offer. We anyone in our company, when it was set for a decade and now in our region with Lumio, can go into sales if they want to. That option is available to them. We will train them like any other sales rep. They're going to have the accountability of the other reps as well, and to hit their hit their metrics, so on and so forth. But we are all about it.
That's an approach. I love that.
Versus a condescending, like, if you want to make the money, go into sales, but you don't really mean it. Like, no, we genuinely want to support that if that's a career choice somebody wants to make.
That's incredible.
As far as why we haven't lost sales reps, I think Julie has earned the right to explain it to them, and they really trust her. One of the first things she did when she took over the general manager position is decrease a large adder by a whole lot. Just went through the books and found out all the math and said, hey, we can actually charge this for this adder. So they loved her from day one and realized that she was there for their best interest and wanted them to get paid the most, the quickest. So a conversation about commission, they take it very well from someone like her.
Very cool, because you have that sales, you can empathize with them, right?
Julie has tremendous empathy to hear you out, and even when she doesn't have the response that maybe they're looking for, she can say in a way that's relatable. Sometimes just acknowledging, I understand this is really, really frustrating. I get it. And sometimes as a sales rep, that's just what you want to hear, that you're just being heard. She may not be able to make the outcome what they want, but they will always feel heard when talking with her, and that's what made her very successful in that role, which is kind of an old news role now, but is why she's crushing it, and what she's doing now, which is overseeing now multiple states and in that pipeline.
So what I'm gathering, a lot of the success that we're seeing is because it culminates from empathy, and transparency, right? And then getting down in the mud and the dirt with them, and going and knocking the doors and being out there in the field with them, leading from the front, right? So we have 3 huge attributes to leadership right here.
Yeah, and I would just to step in really quick, because having done this for a while, I was not always that way. There were situations or seasons where I was not very empathetic, and I didn't necessarily lead from the front, or I wasn't as transparent as maybe I could have been or should have been. And it wasn't a manipulative type way. I just didn't know. I was young. I mean, I'm 35 now, so I'm not super old, but when you're 25, 26, 27, you're a young business owner. Yeah. And so you're doing the best you can, but being able to reflect is what's helped me so much, where I cannot repeat, some of those mistakes. And so now, it's easy to say, yes, transparency and empathy, and those are great leadership qualities, and I agree, but I didn't always lead my company that way. And so, that's the value of being able to grow. Beautiful.
Richard, do you get together with your sales team and do a cheer or a 2 clap or anything? What is it?
I always say, go get them at the end of our calls. It's not really a war cry for our team.
Can we hear it? Can we hear the go get them?
At the manager or regional level, they have some good chance.
They say you're late when you go on the conference call.
Oh, that's true. Yes, I actually heard you do that. I think you were calling people back over from lunch or something. You're late.
Is that you? They love it. And I did as well. That is also part of our culture, is controlling what you can control, because there's so many things you can't, like red lines going up and the panels increases and stuff happening in China and all these weird stuff, right? But you can control being on time. Yeah. You can control how you look to your customer. You can control having your sales material dialed in. And there's all these other things that you can control. And so make sure you're hitting all that before you go say everything is, the office's fault or the installer's fault or whatever. And so being on time is a really, really big thing in our sales organization. Okay. There is no reason to be late to any of the meetings that we time, because, you're not respecting your own time. You're not respecting the person's time, and you can control it. And so when you don't, it's on you. It's on you, and you're late. You're late.
So you say, "Let's go," right?
Let's go.
Can we hear? Can we
go get them? I say,
go get them. Can we hear it like with some passion?
Go get them.
Ooh, I like that. All right, we want to thank you guys for being here with us. Listen to this podcast.